All right, guys, I'm so sorry for coming late. I was trying to set up some things. So let's get started. I believe you can hear me and my voice is audible. All right. Who are those online? Gift AK, Florence. I'm not seeing my guys online. What's wrong? I hope they know we have class by now. Just hope. Okay, please hold on. Let me try to set up. Uh, Let me try to set up, please. And how do we do this? Please hold on. I'm seeing how we can actually open this. Okay, hold on. Just minutes, please. But while I'm waiting for that, who are those I have online? Please tell all of them to come. It's likely I won't do any class again after this one. But I will try my best. We are going to read enough this section. All right. Yes, let's start with discussion. What do you think you know already in GST103? I want us to start with that discussion. In the group, just type, sorry, in the chat there, type the things you feel like you already know about the course. Those of you that will have issue most in this course are those that are not in the science department, those that are not conversant with the computer. It's really going to be somehow strange to you. But for those in the science department, or you don't have issue, it's a cheap course because you know much about computer already. You know much about computer. Okay, I'm almost done. You will see the material now. I'm trying to, yeah, I think we can share it now. So I was doing something with you guys in the group. Mr. Case, thank you. You are starting my day well. I appreciate you. Uh, Thank God you guys are just saying good evening, good evening. I greet everyone. I stand on all existing protocols. So what I'm asking you guys to do now is tell me what you know about GST103 already. Personally, from your own reading and so on, what do you know about the course already? I want to know. I need to know. Let's see how far. Maybe some of you have been reading or not. Because the first thing we will do tonight or this evening is to scan the material. After scanning the material to know just everything that appeared in the material, we will go to using 30 key questions to uh, study the material in full. The main challenge is that the course is somehow sweet because in most of the previous semesters, it has always been a mixture of several parts of the material and then with a lot of abbreviations. But we can't say what they will do this semester, so let's stop predicting them. Let's just focus on studying. I'm not seeing anything on the chat. Only a few people are chatting. Why? And a lot of people are online, but just few people are chatting. Computer programming, virus. Okay. Yeah, you've learned a lot. Yes, Ellen Darwin, you are welcome. Ate Deborah and all of you. Big Eva, you are welcome. Where is your wife? We've not seen Madam Class Captain. Both of them, they are not online. I guess they are still in their place of work. All right, let's start, guys. We've been talking and talking and talking, although we are waiting for the material to finish loading. Basically, the first part of this material talked about data and how to manipulate data in different stages of data manipulation, like the manual method, the mechanical method, and of course, the computer method. We've talked about that in one of our previous classes. So that one is not a big challenge to any one of us. So after that, the material talks about history of computer that started with 1937. That is the first generation. It goes across to the 1950s. Let's just say 1940 to 1950s. The second generation from 60s to 70, I think. The third one, I think, maybe 70 to 80 or so, and so on. So after discussing that, the material moved on to talk about the central processing unit. Like, not before that, it talks about the component of the computers where we have the hardware and the software, and then in details the material talk about hardware on its own, all the physical part of the computer that you can see, you can relate with, you can touch, you can feel, you can operate, and it gave several examples. Then it moved on to talk about software and the types of software we have. The one that are system software that are responsible for the running and operation of the system, the application software for different types of operation, like the YouTube we are using now is an application software. The Microsoft Word in your system is an application software. The Photoshop you use to design is an application software, and so on and so forth. Those ones that are created for specific tasks, they are called application software. What we are doing now, we are scanning the material. So don't worry, it's going to get more fun. We have not started anything yet. We are just scanning. We are scanning now. What are the things that appeared in this material? Then after that, hardware, software, the material moved on to talk about what we call uh, viruses. We talked about I think some of these things we've done them before. If you watch the previous videos, if you have been attending the class, I don't think all I've been saying so far should look strange to you. Then we talked about viruses. So I think after viruses, the material went on to some very complex topic by looking at different applications, like I think a bit of programming is there. A bit of programming. In our own set, they ask us questions from this part. I remember one particular question that asked me that what did they use the trapezium? The trapezium is for what in the flow charting of whatever. There is a way the question came like that. So it means that this place, we should not jump it. Please, each of these symbols we have here that we normally use in flow charting, we should know what each of them symbolizes, what they use them for. The diamond, what did they use the diamond for? The trapezium, the circle, and the rest of them, like the trapezium here, and the arrows and the rest of them. You will need to study them because we may say they will not bring it out, and of course, you may meet it in your exam. So after flow charting, we talk about algorithm. So there are quite a lot of things in this material. But the thing is, you can't read everything. Let's not deceive ourselves. But we'll make sure we touch. That is what we'll do in this class. And we'll touch the core part. So we have the logic I want us to use. The logic I want us to use is uh, I want us to use some set of questions. We are not doing any exam. Some set of questions to, you know, read through the material, just 30 of them. That is your TMA questions. So the first one I will be looking at is, where was volume mentioned in this material? So let's search for it. We'll read around that place. So after using the 30 TMA questions we have, after using the 30 TMA questions we have, yes, application of computer is also here in the material. Like, in what areas can we use computer, like in engineering, in mechanical, whatever. All right, so let's there is a place I'm looking for. Okay, this is under classification of computer. Okay, so that's TMA question one came out from this part of the material. So we're going to read this whole 3.3. The reading will be very funny to this evening. It's not going to follow a serial pattern or a sequence. We'll just, anywhere the question comes from, we'll read around. So be ready. We'll start the now. Please focus and let your mind be here. I may be testing us time to time as we go through. So the first part we'll be reading this evening is the classification of computers. I'll be going fast. Okay. I want us to start from the very beginning. Good. All right. I think this is clear enough now. Anybody that ad is disturbing, skip it. I believe those ads are skippable. So skip them. Don't allow anything to distract. I think let me pause it for a while because I don't want anything to disturb you guys. All right, so let's start, guys. Classification of computers. Just one question in your 30 questions in TMA has led us to this unit. So we are going to read the whole unit. So go with me, guys. In this unit, we'll talk about classification of computers and class of computers. You can classify computers. All those computers you are seeing, we can classify them in several forms, either as digital, based on different things. There are some we classify based on their signal, some based on their purpose, and some based on their sizes. So when we classify computers based on their signal, under signal classification of computer, we have the digital, the analog, and the hybrid. And we've talked about them in one of our classes. Under the purpose, I think I will ask you guys just a short question so that you engage yourself in the chat box. So kindly list them. There is a question there. I've dropped a question there, so you answer it. Good evening, Khadija Mustafa. You're welcome. Nsikak, all of you. I welcome everybody. Now, classification based on signal type. Kindly mention them. Don't say somebody have type what you want to type. Type your own. Classification based on signal type. So in case I am to see a question tomorrow that which of the following is not computer classification based on signal type, and you see digital, you see analog, hybrid, and maybe mainframe or anything, you should know the one that is not part of it. So for signal type, we have three: digital, analog, hybrid. And hybrid is the combination of digital and analog. Like I've mentioned in one of our classes, that a computer that combines digital operation with analog operation in one single computer, That is what we call hybrid. So it can switch between the two. That is an hybrid computer. Then the digital, we'll talk about it briefly. Then we can classify computer based on purpose, and we can classify computer based on capacity. So I will ask a very short question. So that is a question. That is another question for you guys to attempt, so that you will see if your mind is actually following. We have three ways in which we can classify this thing we call computer. Kindly list those three ways. Computers generally can be classified in three ways. What are those three classifications? So the first, okay, then after by purpose, we also have by capacity. That is where we will talk about the mainframe, the mini computers, and the microcomputers. And there is another question that will lead us to this place that said that the memory capacity in the range of 128 to 256 is a function of which computer? Of course, that is mini computer. There is one question like that too in that your TMA that will lead us to this same unit, but we'll just read everything once and for all and get out. Now, the computer has passed through many stages of evolution from days. Now, we will not skip anything, and the reason why we will not skip is that we'll find out that those parts you are skipping are those parts they are setting questions from. So let your mind be on the things we will be doing. The computer has passed through many stages of evolution. So computers have been classified based on different criteria. In this unit, we shall classify computer based on three popular methods, which you guys already have there. So I asked a question, and I can see that you people did not get, okay, it's only Mr. Case that is giving us the correct thing yet. Signal type, by purpose, and by capacity. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Case. There's the rest of you. I don't know the particular question you're answering. I've dropped two questions actually. And I want to there is this question I want to ask you guys on what I just finished reading. I want to see if you guys are following. Just fill in the gap. There is a question in the chat box. Try to attempt it. Now, since we have several classifications of the computers based on size, on purpose, and signal, the first one, we'll talk about categories of computer now based on their signals. The digital computer, what is the main thing to hold in digital computers? Now, the digital computer represents its variable in the form of digits. Maybe that is why they say digital. It counts the data it deals with, whether representing numbers, letters, or other symbols. They are all converted into binary form on input to the computer, which means when you feed in your data, whether it's a text, a number, sound, or anything, when you feed it into the digital computer, what the digital computer does is it converts into binary form before starting anything on your data. The data undergoes a processing after binary digits are converted back to alpha. Yes, stages. You guys are correct. So back to alpha numeric form for output for the human use. You know what the one thing you should basically know is that all these computers you are seeing, when you put you input anything, like all this communication between you and your system now that you are using in English, your system doesn't understand English. It only understands machine language, zeros and one. So there has to be a conversion from your own language to the machine language. There is another question there. Let's attempt it. Now, the data undergoes processing, well, after that, so that human can now understand the form of output that the computer will give after processing. Now, because of the fact that business applications like inventory control, invoicing, and payroll deal with discrete values, separate, disunited, discontinuous. They are best processed with digital computers. As a result of this, digital computers are mostly used in commercial and business places today. Because of the nature of the business environment, the best computer that serves the business environment is the digital computer. That is one important thing you should know. I have dropped another question. You people will be answering a lot of questions today. I will not just be talking. The questions will be putting you in check to know whether you are following. So what are the major things you need to remember to help you understand when it is digital computer that you are being asked about? One is that it converts the data that are being fed into it before processing. It converts them to binary form, and the variables are in the form of digits. And of course, it is best used in the business environment for payroll, like your salary entry in your organization, the way they calculate, and everything about your payroll and the rest of them. And then what other thing is important there to so when data is fed into the digital computer, it converts it to the binary form, do the processing, then give you back in alphanumeric form, which is the one you understand as human. And the best application of digital computer is in the commercial and business places today. So that is that on the classification of computer based on signal number one, which is digital computer. We move on to analog computer, which is second in the classification of computer based on signal. The second one is analog computer. It measures rather than counts. Another thing we should not forget about digital computer is that digital computer counts, but analog measure. I hope that makes sense. I have a question for you guys there, very simple one. So the analog computer measure. So I think Nigeria, let's just say measure so that you people understand better. It measures rather than counts. This type of computer set up a model of a system. Of a system. So common type represent its variables in terms of electrical voltage and set up circuit analog to the equation connecting the variables. Well, this one does not convert this one doesn't convert your signal or your data into binary form or whatever. It just goes straight into using electrical voltage and some kind of calculation, some equation connecting your variables and whatever. Now, the answer can be either by using a voltmeter to read the value of the variable required, or by feeding the voltage into a plotting device. They hold data in form of physical variables rather than numerical quantities. They hold data in form of physical variables rather than numerical quantities. So we are still discussing about the analog computers. We are still discussing about the analog computers, and we have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to talk about, but for now, we are still discussing about the analog computer. So we will soon come up with what we can use to hold the analog computer, but let's finish reading it. Now, they hold data in form of physical variables rather than numerical quantities, like in the case of digital that uses numerical quantities. In theory, analog computers give an exact answer because the answer has not been approximated to the nearest digit. Whereas when you try to obtain the answers using digital voltmeter, we often find that the accuracy is less than that which could have been obtained from the analog computer. So it is, oh sorry, I think I'm rushing. It is almost never used in business systems. it is used by the scientist and engineer to solve system of partial differential equation. I think this one is more uh, mathematics based or calculation based than the digital. The digital is suitable for the business area. Excuse me, I'm trying to come. Okay, I have a question there for you guys. I hope you guys are answering my questions. Physical variables. Okay. Do you hear me? Digital is not the answer to that question. Physical variables is correct. I hope somebody is not writing varieties. I have somebody that wrote varieties. Who is this? Evangelist Thompson. Okay. Probably your keyboard auto corrected it. All right. So it is one thing we can say if you try to compare the digital with the analog is that the analog seems to be more precise and it doesn't use numerical quantities. It uses like electrical voltage and the rest of them. So these analog computers, they are used basically by scientists for calculation of differential equation, and for it is also used in controlling and monitoring of systems in such areas as hydrodynamics and rocketry. They use it in rocket science, in production. There are two useful properties of this computer once it is programmed. One is that it is simple to change the value of a constant or coefficient and study the effect of such changes. Two, it is possible to link certain variables to a time pulse to study changes with time as a variable and chart the result on the x, y plotter. Okay, okay. I have a question here. I have a question for you guys here. You kindly attempt that. So we'll now talk about. Okay, just give me answer that question, please. So that is all on analog computer. What are the things to put in mind so that you remember in case anything actually come out on analog computer? One thing you should put in mind is that it doesn't count like the digital computer. Rather, it measure. The first thing is that it measure, it doesn't count. The second thing is that it doesn't convert your data into uh, digital into digits like binary form like uh, your digital computer does, but instead it uses electrical voltage. It uses electrical voltage for some calculations and the rest of them, and then it is not used by the business. It's not that good for the business world like the digital computer. Rather, it is used by scientists to calculate differential equation and also in rocket science and hydrodynamics. So those are the things you can remember about analog computer to help you recall if any question comes out on it. And of course, there are two basic properties of that computer after they've programmed it. One is that it is simple to change a value of a constant, and the second one is that it is also possible to link some variables to time pulse and then study the changes with time. So that is digital and analog. Two types of computer under classification of computer based on signal. The last one is hybrid. Now the hybrid, all that the hybrid is a combination of the behavior of digital and the behavior of analog all in one computer. That is the hybrid. A bit on it so that we don't just conclude like that. In some cases, the user may the output from an analog computer as processed by a digital computer or vice versa. To achieve this, he set up a hybrid machine where the two are connected and the analog computer may be regarded as a peripheral of the computer. A very short classwork, everybody. What is the meaning of peripheral? The peripheral of a computer. That is a common computer term, and since they like knowledge, it is possible they ask you something like that. So what is the meaning of, just search it out yourself. So in such a situation, a hybrid system attempts to gain the advantage of both the digital and the analog element in the same machine. So like I've mentioned earlier, the most important thing you should know is that hybrid is just a combination of the behavior or attribute or the characters or the properties or the qualities or the workings, anyone you use, of both digital and analog computers. So the combination of the two of them will give you the uh, hybrid. Having said this, we have completed the classification of computer based on signal. I have a very short question for you guys. Which of the computers, which of the computers has the advantage of giving you real-time response? I have the question. I've dropped it there for you guys. So try to, on a continual basis. So it means when you want to get a computer that will give you real-time response, as in, as the thing is, it's going to show it as it's ongoing. You are getting real-time feedback. That is the work of the hybrid, because it's a complex computer, a combination of two operational computer, analog and digital. So complex calculation can be dealt with by the digital element, thereby requiring a large memory and giving accurate result after programming. They are mainly used in aerospace and process control applications. That is the hybrid computer. Now, guys, having done that, we have talked about hybrid computers. Don't forget that this is just question one out of 30 questions that we want to use to read our material. That is why we used to say, if you truly handled your TMA very well, the people that set TMA question, they are very logical. They've set TMA question in such a way that if you truly did the TMA yourself and you try to get the answer from the material not using AI, you would have completed everything you need from the material for exam through the TMA questions. All we have been reading now is just from TMA question. So this is how to use your TMA questions to read for your exam. One question has taken us to a full unit. And by reading this full unit, anything that comes out from this unit, we are likely going to be able to answer it. I have a question there for you guys. I need you guys to answer it. Then, so many people have not given my video a thumbs up. Please give it, like it. We have about 100 of us online, and just 40 of you has given me a thumbs up. Close the chat, give it a thumbs up, then you come back to the chat. All right, so let's continue, guys. We are done with classification based on signal. The things you should not forget is that for digital computer under classification based on signal, digital computer, they count, they convert to binary digits, and they are used in business area for payroll and some basic business operation. While the analog doesn't count, it measure. It uses electrical voltage. You understand? It is precise. It is mostly used in by engineers or scientists, rather by scientists, for calculating differential equation. What other things to mention on that? Then it has two basic is it qualities we are going to say now. Once it is programmed, it has two things it can do. Don't forget all those under analog. And finally, we have the hybrid, which is a computer that combines